So I like to do this after I get out of the shower because you're supposed to do this 3 times a day, and I like to do it in the morning when I wake up and then at 5 o'clock because it seems to be like a good time, like a good break in between. You naturally shift from working to your own time, and then I do it right before I go to bed. So remember I was telling you guys about the saline packets? You're gonna wanna take one of those. And my surgeon gave me a whole bunch of these little trays. I have like at least 10 in here. And I take a saline packet and pour it in there. And then he told me to only use filtered water or bottled water. So I'm gonna use filtered water and pour it in there. I like to make sure that it's at least room temperature. I noticed that the colder it is, the more likely I am to get like a headache or like that burning sensation from the salt. I feel like the warmer it is, the faster or more thoroughly the salt dissolves. After I pour the water in, I usually mix it around with the syringe. It does a pretty good job. I usually stop mixing when I can stop seeing the water be a little cloudy. Then I take my nose retainer out and I wash it with hot water. And then I give it a final rinse with 1 syringe of the salt water. And I put it in this little container. It's got its own carrying case, and this is one that you can fill it up with water and put it in the microwave to sanitize it, which I love. Then I fill up the syringe again and start cleaning my nose. I usually go back and forth. I used to count, like I would do 5 on one side, 5 on the other side, and keep going, but these days I just go back and forth and like blow out of my nose anytime I get that like tingling sensation. I will say that I found a trick that helps with the burning. I don't know the science behind this, but if I feel the burning, I start by looking up with my eyes, just my eyes, not my head. And then as I squeeze in, I make my eyes come all the way down. Don't ask me how I figured that out. I just know that that works for the burning sometimes. So I got the surgery, and then 7 days later they took off the cast and gave me a new cast. I was supposed to wait 10 days to take off that cast. And then after that cast comes on, the taping starts, which is what I have now. This taping and the retainer that I had needs to be on as much as possible. So I just wear it 24/7 because I don't really care if people stare at me. But I'm hoping that by the end of the 2nd month, which will be coming up pretty soon, it's coming up January 8th, that I'll be able to stop taping. I need to send some photos to my doctor so that he can see like what's going on and check my progress and see if I'm ready to take off the taping and stop wearing the retainer. So with this taping, you're supposed to wear it for 5 to 7 days. I don't really have it consistently down. I tried to do 7 days in the beginning, but my skin gets so oily around the sides, and then this bottom part always gets wet when I'm trying to wash my nose. So it's been roughly about 5 to 6 days for me. It just depends on what my skin is doing. But today is a day that I need to take it off because it is like lifting up on the sides, which means it's not doing its job. It's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. So it's time to take it off. It usually comes off in one piece. The residue that is from the glue from the tape that's left on your nose is such a pain to deal with. Oh, I guess this is a nose reveal. Ta-da! It honestly changes from week to week. I have no idea. Like once you put the tape on, you kind of can't really see. My mind just thinks that I have my old nose. So I've just kind of been chilling. It looks a lot more defined this week. I'm hoping to put out some kind of video with progress pictures of every week, because that's when I have to take the tape off anyway. So hopefully you guys will see that. I tried cleaning up this glue with micellar water. It does not work. And I've tried other makeup cleansers. Nothing has worked except for this. And I usually have to do 2 cleanses. So I take like a little bit, and I really need less than this. So I'll divide that in half. And I put it on my nose and just rub it in. It's a makeup removing balm. I was using it before I got my nose done, and I have a couple of other makeup removing cleansers and other wipes and stuff, and I just went through everything that I own trying to get this gunk off my face. It's so bad for my skin. My nose skin is suffering, especially because you have the tape on 24/7. My skin is not really getting a break. Days when I take off the tape, I kind of let my skin sit out in the air for a couple hours. And I always do this with my hands, because if I were to do this with like a washcloth or some kind of paper towel, I wouldn't be able to feel how sticky my nose would still be. So I like to do it with my hands, just to make sure that I get all of the residue off my face. All fresh and clean. I don't know how I don't know, I just look so different these days because I dyed my hair black, that I'm having more of an identity crisis about the black hair than I am about the nose. Like, me and the nose were cool, but then I dyed my hair and now I'm like, I don't know who I am anymore. After I scrub my nose, it gets quite red because of all of the abrasiveness. So I'm gonna use some arnica gel to soothe some of the redness. When I tell you I'm obsessed with this stuff, I can totally see myself continuing to use it in the future, because sometimes I get these like irritated patches on my skin. I don't know what they're from, and they don't happen often, but often enough for me to keep using this stuff. And the way that this works so quickly, I can see a difference in the redness in my skin in like an hour. After that, I used 2 creams that my doctor gave me. Honestly, could not tell you what they are because they are in Turkish. Then I take a Q-tip and rub these on the inside of my nose. You only need a little bit because it's such a small area. I kind of concentrate most of it though on the inside part of my nose, because I noticed that part is always like, that part is the most sore and like the most reconstructed. When I go to sleep though, I do lather this on, just because when I wake up the next morning, sometimes the inside of my nose feels so dry. Then I put my nose retainer back in. And that's it for now. I will come back later to show you guys how I retape my nose. But I'm gonna let the skin on my nose breathe for now. It is 5 o'clock now. I'm done with all my work stuff for today, and now it's just time to like switch into home mode. So it's definitely been enough hours. I usually don't keep the tape off for this long. I usually do it for maybe like 2-3 hours. But anyway, I'm gonna show you guys how I tape up my nose. This is kind of a process where you kind of have to do trial and error for a while, because you don't really know until you do it enough times. But here's the tape. It's paper surgical tape, and it is a 1/2 inch wide. That's important because your nose is such a small
piece of your face. You don't want anything wider because of the technique we're about to use. First, I roll this e.l.f. It's like a toner slash pimple stopper kind of thing. And I just put this on here because the tape clogs my pores so bad. I try to prevent any pimples before they start. So I roll a thin layer on there and then wait for it to dry. My nose is a naturally oily place anyway. Okay, next I'm going to take a strip that will go over right above the tip of my nose, so like right here. And sometimes I still don't get the size of the tape right because it's supposed to go from side to side, but I'm going to try my best. Here. And I always put a little bit of pressure on it, and I make sure that my nose retainer isn't in my nose while I do this because that just makes my nose wider. Then I'm gonna get a smaller piece of tape, put that right on top, and put it right here. Squeeze down, put it there, and you're just gonna keep going all the way up until you reach like a little bit above your tear ducts. Then when you get between the eyes, you want to make them really small. Oh, just perfect. I mean, when in doubt, go bigger because you can always trim some off the sides later. A little teeny tiny one for here. And one more should do the trick. There we go. That's about as high as you should take it. I can probably cut this piece off right here, but other than that, I'll probably leave everything else. I have to do the tape for this long because if I don't, my skin will go back to its original shape that it had with my original nose. So the tape is kind of acting as a retrainer, like a nose trainer instead of a waist trainer. It'll train the skin to adhere to my new nose shape. So this is very, very important, and that's why it's on for so long. Put the nose retainer back in. And that's it.